Well, good afternoon, Rachel. Please share what's been going on with you.
I'm just having a lot of problems just trying to, I guess, process some of my emotions. So I've been told that anger was not really emotion that was necessarily good my entire life. Um, so now I'm dealing with feeling very just angry with like a lot of things that have happened to me. Um, for both them putting me through those situations and also for me allowing it. Um, so it's just a lot of mixed feelings. Having to be able to forgive them and also learning how to like forgive myself. Um, just so many different things to learn, it's a lot.
Yes.
Uh,
You
so
you said you have some mixed feelings. Tell me more about that.
uh, I guess the mixed feeling, I don't know if it's uncomfortability with just learning how to process something I'm not used to processing. So anger being an emotion I'm not used to processing. And I'm still trying to, I guess, maintain my character, even though sometimes the anger emotion really doesn't seem to be symbolic of that. Um, so like me wanting to just lash out on someone just seems not symbolic of my character, when I want to be that person that kept the peace, you know. And but I think it's hard when you can feel angry for situations that I don't know, just feel like people made things hard for you,
Hmm.
and it wasn't right, and they knew what my weaknesses were, so it's not like they didn't know what they were doing. They just assumed I would just be forgiving and move on.
Okay, I see. So it sounds like you're you're saying that it's hard to show anger because it conflicts with who you think you should be, the character that you would like to project. Um, so then you feel like you have to stuff it down or hide it or pretend it's not there.
A little bit. I think I'm learning how to use it more appropriately. I think it's still scary, but it's surprising that the times that sometimes I think I'm being really angry, people don't think are as angry as I thought it was. Um, Sometimes
Oh,
people are like, "Oh, finally you stood up for yourself," instead of it being like coming across as I'm being mean and unfair to them. So, you know, maybe my reality wasn't what I thought it was completely. So,
okay. So sometimes when you've expressed anger, it's been received well and even complimented, but then other times you're concerned that you'll just come off as a bully.
yes, I think that's probably what was my fear of even having anger in the first place. Uh, is I never wanted to be that person. So when you see a lot of examples of anger as a person that is being the bully, then you're like, okay, then I don't want to do that at all. So uh, I didn't see the anger as an emotion for standing up for yourself. I didn't see that as part of it.
I
I didn't
see.
see that it was a body signal that maybe something was wrong.
Oh, tell me more how that feels in your body when you're feeling the anger.
It feels like I've probably been angry for longer than I actually realized because I wasn't acknowledging it. I acknowledged the hurt and the sadness, but the I didn't acknowledge the anger feeling of it. So I think that there was a lot of feelings of anger, but I just didn't recognize it.
Sounds like the part of that mixture of emotions you were talking about. The
Yeah,
pain and the hurt and the anger or sounds like they were all there, but you're having a harder time with the anger part.
yeah, with that particular emotion. I think the other two were more accepting, or it was easier to hide right away, and anger seemed like that's something that you couldn't just calm down from right away. Um, so
Yeah. So let's sit with that feeling, that uncomfortable mixture of emotions, and tell me what that feels like for you.
um I'm questioning whether I held it in my muscles. Some of that emotion in me because I was repressing it. Maybe that's why it was being held. Um, I know that I had started having a little bit more back issues, I think, when I started getting more angry as a teenager. So, but because I was always trying to repress it down, then I'm questioning whether, you know, I guess that I was holding on to something I wasn't supposed to. So I never resolved it and never processed it. And so I was just allowing situations to happen, which I just held instead of actually, you know, so I mean, it's not completely fair because how are you supposed to know, even as a teenager, how you're supposed to do everything? So
Hmm. Right.
I was like, so just being like, oh, well, there's all these changes happening in my body and the hormones are changing, and I'm just supposed to know exactly how I'm supposed to feel at all times is just a little unrealistic. Um, but I was trying really hard to put off an outward appearance. And I do know in my life that the moments that I try to put on a good persona the most are the moments I felt the crappiest. And, you know, so, but staying with a feeling of anger, I don't know. I guess I just have to acknowledge how I actually expect myself and others to treat me, to with that anger emotion. Um, and sometimes I was just acknowledging how I wanted to treat others, but I wasn't acknowledging how I expected to be treated back. Um, so
Mhm.
I just figured that if I treated well, then it just came with the territory that it would be treated well back. But that's not the case. So
Yeah. Yeah, that can be really hard facing that reality, especially as a teenager. And even today in the present, it still can be hard. Yeah. Yeah. So interesting you said earlier that you felt the anger was in your bones, you're holding on to it, or you were holding on to it in the past, in your muscles and in your bones. Describe that sensation for me.
Well, it feels like it's a major inflammatory response in your body for sure. Definitely feels like it's creating blockages and your movement at times. Emotions become
Hmm.
too overwhelming. But what's the proper word for it? It's like too out of hand that it can be more debilitating, I guess, or just preventing you from, I guess, being able to move as freely. It can be very constricting and almost like have your muscles freeze.
So you
Very similar to probably what I felt when I was feeling fearful and scared. So it's almost like an inner reflection of probably of how I'd actually been feeling and wasn't acknowledging. So
Okay, so sounds like that tension that you're holding is both anger and feels scary too.
yeah, I would say both. Um, I guess that I don't, from even looking at my family, I don't think that a lot of them have known how to place proper boundaries. And I know a lot of us have all stuffed our emotions. And so it makes sense to have that kind of response. But at the same time, I don't want to be that. And I want to find healthier ways to be a person, not just for myself, but for everybody else.
That's that's wonderful to hear. Um, the the desire to walk in the character that you so value. Um, so yeah, that makes sense.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, well, um, since we're coming to the end of our session, um, let me summarize. I hear you saying that you are having a hard time processing anger, um, and that you used to as a child, and it's kind of continued on, although that you are getting better at it. Uh, you're starting to let those feelings come more to the surface and not hang on to them so tightly. But then that's also been a little scary, and you're unsure of the responses you're going to get. So you're you're still developing the skill. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely still developing the skills. So
Well, that's
it's a
yeah.
process.
So okay, well, our time is up for today. Um, but let's pick up here next week.
I like that. I think I appreciate that. Thank you so much for listening to me.
All right, thank you. Okay. It's okay, just hit record. There we go. Yay, we made it through. So, oh boy. I
Well, I
guess.
wasn't making eye contact very much.
Well, it's hard to do it on the Zoom. It's
No, I
different.
mean, I know as a client, but I was thinking of self-projecting and I just like was just, I don't know, losing eye contact came with it. Jumped the line.
So, any feedback for me? So any places where you felt understood that you can remember?
So hard to remember a lot of it, to be honest.
I know.
I think there was at least maybe 3 parts where I felt like you were really acknowledging the feelings I was going through. Um, and you're tell me more, I think that you were giving permission for me.
Okay, so
So that's good. But I think it was good that your reflection of feeling indicated that you were on the right page. I could feel throughout it. And I
okay.
did like how you paused because that gave me help with how I could be the counselor. Because I was like, oh, the pauses.
Yeah. So, and then we had the one really awkward long pause.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I was feeling like, okay, I'm gonna just keep pausing to see if, because I was okay with the pause, but then it was like, okay, now it's going a little too long. So I've given the client a lot of time not responding. So I felt like, okay, now I need to kind of do something, but I wasn't sure. That's a hard thing, especially on a Zoom, to figure out like what's the best timing on all that. So,
Yeah.
and then I know that I had a time where I thought you paused and I started to respond, but then you kept going. So I immediately stopped. I think that was okay.
Oh yeah, I was fine.
Okay.
Um, and then
And I'm trying to think. Let's see, nonverbal communication. Um, was I showing you that I was listening? I think I was nodding and
you were nodding for sure. You did a little bit of hands. Um, the normal verbal utterances, you gave those. And like I said, I was a client that was not paying attention to you. So I missed a lot of your verbal cues.
Was there any is there any time where you felt like I completely misunderstood or was totally inaccurate or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
no. I think you started off with your opening was simple, wasn't complex. And you still looked relaxed in your demeanor. So
Okay. Thank you.
that was good. Um, you did a good summarization of a lot of the feelings that were, I think you picked up on that I was talking about feelings. So your ending was summarizing my feelings and how it's impacting my life.
Okay.
So I thought it was good. I don't think that there was anything too much. I think if I look play back our video, I might catch a few more things. But
Okay.
what about you? Was there anything that you noticed?
Well, just the things I mentioned, the weird pause. It's kind of a long pause. Because I was like, yeah, I don't know where to go. I'm like, I'm hoping you'll just keep talking.
That
So,
was the weird pause that I said like that I didn't want to happen last week, and I just ended up stumbling all over my words instead, and I realized it was bad. So it's better to have a long pause than it is to just be like, oh, well, your solution is.
Okay, well, we could probably stop
Stop.
recording.